Hello, excuse me. Hello and welcome to another episode of Moose's Gear Goo Review. I'm Moose, and today I have another knife review. And this one is a Tops Buck collaboration fixed blade, and it is the CSAR, the Buck CSAR or CSAR. Spelt CSAR-T Liaison. So Buck CSAR Liaison. Really cool kind of multi-tool fixed blade knife that's skeletonized, that offers a lot of possibility. So we'll talk about that, the sheath, and everything else. All right, so some specs. First off, the overall length is 6.75 inches. The blade length is 3 inches. The blade thickness is 0.12 inches. The handle length is 3.75 inches. And the overall weight for the skeletonized knife is 2.3 ounces. So it's pretty light for what it is. Yeah, so pretty cool knife. Now, the thing that attracted me to this knife was basically kind of the blade shape and the overall look. There's a lot of neat lines on it. We have jimping in a couple places. We have holes for whatever reason in different places. But initially the blade shape intrigued me a lot. And it looks like a tanto, but it's a tanto with some curve in it, okay? It's considered a flat grind knife, but when I look at it, it looks like a hollow grind. This portion up here is flat ground. So I don't know. It's kind of a dual-edged knife. I mean, it's plain edge all the way along, but as far as the profile of the knife, it's there's some multi-profiling here. Whoa. So it has kind of this tanto, kind of modified tanto, and then up top there's like a little bit of a reverse tanto going on with that kind of swedge look up there. And then going back, you have these kind of unique holes here with this slot here. And I guess that is a air tank wrench or some sort of wrench. I forgot specifically what wrench it's considered, but I think they call it like an air tank wrench. Which I don't know if it works or not, but I know Tops has, our Buck on the other collaborated knives with Tops have also done this type of multi-tool option there. Going back into it, now this is a full tang blade. You see a nice choil there where the blade meets the handle, easier for sharpening. We have this deep finger choil here with that finger guard, and then jimping across the top that really locks your finger in there. Really not going anywhere there. We got some jimping underneath here as it starts to swell out. Some jimping in back. We have some cutouts here to lighten the load. And then back here we have like a hex wrench for those hex bits. So if you have to use a hex bit, you can use this to bite it and use it. And then it said that it terminated into a pry bar. But when you look at how it is, it doesn't taper straight down to a flat prying tool. So I don't know how well that would work. And as a comparison, I would have liked to have seen this much flatter and tapered down even more. It's really kind of chunky and doesn't really work very well. But on the Kershaw Shuffle here, they kind of have the same thing where it tapers down, but this comes to a much finer point. You can actually screw screws with it, where this one just kind of looks. And now I'm sure if you wanted to, you could take a sharpening stone or a flat stone or a belt grinder and flatten those out so then it does do that. So you can actually screw things in, but that's up to you. But as is, it really isn't at that point. So because it's a fixed blade, it does come with a Kydex sheath that's actually pretty nice. It's a thinner Kydex, but it keeps the weight down and it keeps the profile of the sheath down. It has 4 hollow grommets securing it, and the knife just slides in there, locks in. You see the tops and Buck branding there, as well as on the blade in like a blue ink with the lightning bolt. Looks really cool. And then CSAR-T. Now the blade is made of 420HC, which if you know Buck knives, they do a really good job with 420HC. So that's nothing to worry about really. And then the Kydex sheath holds it in. It did also come with the ball and chain included, so it was intended as a slim neck knife. Now, some of us who have neck knives, or at least skeleton knives, we see an opportunity to wrap paracord around them. And at a time, I did have about 6 feet of paracord wrapped around it. If you are going to do the paracord route, just make sure that you wrap it to about just under the finger guard or about halfway, because if you put it up any higher, you won't be able to securely put it into the sheath, and it'll be sticking out and you could have it fall out. So make sure you only do about halfway, or at least just the lower portion. And even then, that did offer a substantial amount of comfort and grip. So definitely an option. But it securely locks in there really nice. Not coming out. Barely any rattle or wiggle. The ball chain is plenty long to put it over my head. And yeah, so pretty excellent knife for that. But comparison wise, I'm going to compare it to some of my other neck knives. I'm going to line it up there because I think there's a weight, depending on how strong you have of a neck or how much you want weighing your neck down, you're going to reconsider. So this is the K-Bar, S-K-Bar, pretty stout little neck knife, if you can call it that. It does come with a different sheath than that, but I'll talk about that in another video. We have the Mora 111 or 110, I think. I could be wrong. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But it's one of their older school versions. I think they have a more recent version of it now. And yeah. Oh, and then I have this little guy. This is the Spyderco dog tag knife with a lanyard, and we'll just put that out there. So these are just some of the neck knives. I don't really have many. I had another one, the I forgot what it was called, is the Boker Plus Ominent or M-On-It. I don't know how you pronounce it, but you can check a video out of that one because I compare it to these other ones. But as you can see, blade length, it's pretty comparable to the K-Bar. It's definitely shorter than the Mora, and definitely longer than the Spyderco. Neck knives, handle wise, it's about the same as the K-Bar. The Mora is heavier or longer, and of course longer than this. Looking at the blade steel, and I'll also comment on the weight as far as, remember this one is just 2.3 ounces. This Spyderco is maybe just lighter than that. Thickness, they're about the same. But you know, having a weight about this weight, as far as the dog tag and the CSAR, it's about the limit. I would really not prefer to carry anything that much heavier than that on my neck. Comparing it to the Mora, the Buck is thicker, but once again, they're close to the same weight. This one's probably just over 3 ounces. But for the size, it's actually pretty light. And the heavy guy is also the thick guy. And that is much thicker than the Buck CSAR, and the weight is much heavier. Factoring in the sheaths, sheath-wise, let's see. I'll have to say that the Mora plastic sheath is actually incredibly light, the lightest out of the three, even though it's like the longest and much bigger than that, it's still the lightest. So that factors in and gives you a much lighter package. This thing is just super heavy, partly because there is a fire steel on there, but that makes this almost, this should really be a belt knife. Not gonna lie. So there. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting comparison, but you know, keep it slim and lightweight, and to me that makes up a decent neck knife. That being said, our last one here to do is the ugly brown glove test. This is just a test to see how well the knife is deployed and safely put away with an ugly brown glove. Do I have grip or not? So right now the Kydex is okay grip as far as that, but you do need two hands to deploy it. Or if this was hanging from my neck, you grab this. Because there's jimping and it widens, I do have a secure grip there. And then I will say it is kind of slippery in my hand, but once I get my thumb on that jimping, it's okay. And I have a decent grip there, though it does feel slick on any smooth part without jimping. So if I did add paracord, that would probably improve the grip as well. But for the most part, you know, it does pass the ugly brown glove test enough. So I'd give this about a 75% pass ugly brown glove test. Alright guys, so there's a quick little overview and review of the CSAR. I've carried it around for a while, and it does work pretty well. I'd prefer other neck knives. I actually prefer this one just because it is still light. It's a little bit big, and it isn't one that you're going to wear concealed underneath. This one is easily concealable, sits flat against the chest, underneath a shirt, and you know, it doesn't weigh that much, so this would be an ideal weight and size for a neck knife. That being said, please like, subscribe, and comment. Make sure you check the eye in the upper right hand corner for any other videos, reviews, and unboxings. Check out this knife, the Buck CSAR Liaison or something, and I'll see you guys outside. Thank you.